Good morning, class. Today is April 7th, 2020, and we will start with our This Day in History. On this day in 1994, Edvard Munch's The Scream was recovered after theft. It's the very famous painting of the guy kind of going like Macaulay Culkin in Home Alone in front of like a bridge type thing. And it was stolen, but on this day in 1994, it was recovered. So, yay, they got it back. On this day in 1915, the Lusitania sank. We talked about this briefly when we talked about the Titanic sinking. The Lusitania was a sister ship to the Titanic, along with the Britannica. All three of them sank. So yeah, that happened. And the Lusitania was a passenger ship, but it was also being used to smuggle some weapons because it was World War I, and the German U-boats, which are precursors to the submarines, sank it, and it kind of fell onto its side and then sank that way, as opposed to the Titanic, which went up, straight up, broke in half, and then sank. So it sank, and there were Americans on board, and America was really angry. They're like, it was a passenger ship, there's nothing on it, even though there secretly was. So America then, that was kind of its prompting to join World War I. Up to this point, we had been like, oh yeah, we're not involved at all, but we were secretly involved. Um, so then we got into World War I. On this day in 1896, the serial killer H.H. Holmes was hanged for his crimes. He built this hotel, which had all sorts of terrible rooms in it with lots of terrible ways for people to die. He was the inspiration for American Horror Story Hotel, and there's a fantastic book about him called Devil in the White City, because while all of this was going on, the World's Fair was also being hosted in Chicago, which was where he was based. So you had this World's Fair happening, people from all over the world coming, and then this terrible serial killer just a few blocks away. On this day in 1945, Germany surrenders unconditionally to the Allies at Reims. So this ended World War II. We've kind of talked about this over time. Hitler gets married, then he commits suicide the next day. The Germans hold on for a few more days, and then they're like, we can't do this anymore. So they realize, time's up, we're done, and they surrender. And finally, sorry, my eye's itching. On this day in 2000, Vladimir Putin becomes president of Russia. He's still president to this day. Probably hear about him a lot in the news. He's really, really good friends with Trump. Um, and not a lot of people agree with his politics. So, your work is due tomorrow. Make sure you're getting it done. I've gotten a lot of questions about the diary entries. You only have to do one of the diary entries in your Google Slides. So if you're doing the southern diary entry, you can just delete the slide with the northern one. Don't even need to keep it there. If you don't keep it, if you accidentally left it, you don't have to go back and delete it. So one diary entry, and your work is due tomorrow. I have office hours for first period at 12:45 and fourth period at 3:30. I will also, starting next week, I have to look and see what we voted for in terms of when we want to continue office hours. So I will let you know that on Friday. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email. Bye, guys.